Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to tonight's edition of Inside Pitch with me, Joe Mansolino, and my co-host / producer, Mr. Brian Lehman.
That's right. Come on down. We can produce you some slashes.
There you go. How are you doing today?
Man, if I got any better, they would never let me go on air ever again.
Uh-oh. Okay, then keep doing not so good so we can do this.
I think I've got that wrapped up.
Anyway, baseball playoffs, very, very exciting. Very exciting right now. We are taping this a day early. So going into today's game, the Washington Nationals are ahead of the St. Louis Cardinals 3-0 and playing tremendous baseball.
Yes, they are.
I mean, that's been really good. And when you're listening tomorrow night, you will know who won tonight. And the Houston Astros are playing the New York Yankees 1-1 going into tonight's game, and we will know who won that one tomorrow night as we're listening. Very exciting games. I mean, just really exciting. I don't think anybody expected the Nationals to go, 3 games up as the wild card team against any of the other teams, really. Yet, as we said last week when we were talking about the Dodgers and Nationals, we said the Nationals could do it.
Yes.
And they are making us look good.
Well, at least we look like a genius in someone's eyes. How you doing?
Yeah, they're really playing good.
Well, I had a point that I made to some folks up in St. Louis. They were talking about how the Cards are going to go in there and take the Nats. And I said, a lot of times it seems like when a team has a real blowout win like that, they suck after that. And it's kind of amazing because the next game, they didn't even score.
Yeah, they're not hitting at all. I mean, they're really, really struggling. And the Nationals just look great. I mean,
they do.
Howie Kendrick is unstoppable. He's just really playing well. Rendon is playing excellent. Soto, Soto, 20 years old, playing. That kid is clutch. I mean, nothing is affecting him. He's just solid. And then, the older guys, Zimmerman, Rendon, Kendrick, they've really stepped it up and are just amazing, the things that they're doing out there. They have none of those struggles with coming through in the clutch, and they're up 3-0.
Yeah, you can't beat that. I'd have never picked the Nats to be up 3-0. Of course, I picked the Dodgers to be playing the
Well,
Yankees.
I think most people did, and we did when we did, we said, but the Nationals really have a chance. They're a good team, and they are.
Yes.
And they're showing that. And then get to the other series with the Yankees and Houston at 1-1. I mean, I think there's no doubt with almost anybody who's not just a homer that Houston's probably the best team in the league, in all of baseball. And they're tied 1-1 with the Yankees.
Yep. And I would not be surprised to see them eke it out at the end. They're just a quality team.
I think so too, but like we said, and I know baseball was hoping for that World Series with, Dodgers Giants because they get the attendance, they get the draw, and that's what World Series were all about for so long in the 50s, 60s, and 70s was Dodgers and Giants. Dodgers and Yankees. And they're out. The Yankees are in it. It's going to be fun to see. I think the Astros by far play a better game of baseball. They hit to the opposite field. They can hit in the gaps. They can do the little things. And the Yankees hit home runs. But
so far it served them well.
5 home runs will beat a small ball with 2 runs. So it's going to be exciting. It's going to be good to see what comes down to. But Max Scherzer really has just been dominant in these playoffs. I mean, he has really stepped it up. He's taken the Nationals on his back and said, let's go. Mm-hmm. And you could see his influence on Steven Strasburg yesterday. I mean, Steven just pitched phenomenal. Just had his head in the game the whole time, was throwing great pitches, getting good calls, sometimes just off the plate, and he was getting those calls because he was so consistent at it. I mean, he really stepped up.
Very, very good point.
And I still think that Dave Martinez has done a terrible job. I think he made a lot of wrong pitching changes, a lot of those things, but the players are winning in spite of that, which is, good for the Nats fans. When I was there with the Nats, their fans are die-hard, loyal fans. They deserve this.
Yes.
This will be their, if they win, and the odds are that they'll win one out of the next four. That'll be their first time ever in team history going to the World Series.
Good point.
Pretty impressive.
See, to some of us, it seems like they haven't been in Washington that long, when they moved down from Canada. But it's just amazing to see their transformation, because when they were up there, they never seemed to do much.
Well, and that's true. I mean, Montreal, was never quite really accepted, really. I mean, the fans didn't come a lot. They didn't win a lot. They had some good teams and some really good players sometimes. But, going to D.C. was a good move for the fans in D.C. and a good move for the organization.
Good point. And it's funny because a lot of times when they were in Montreal, folks, it was more just something to talk about. They were just good enough to always screw up somebody else's season, but never good enough to actually do anything.
That's pretty good, because that's pretty much what happened. I mean, it is. And now, I mean, they're a contender. In 2012, when they were, and they made it into the playoffs for that first time, when I was out there, they should have gone further. I mean, they really just choked and lost it, and then struggled the next few years, and then Dusty Baker got them back into the playoffs 2 years in a row, and they weren't able to make it into the championship series, and this year they are. I mean, their fans have to just be ecstatic, and I know they are. And again, the Cardinal fans and the Cardinals are a really, really good team. Do they have a chance of winning 4 in a row? They do. They're a really good team. Do I think they will? I don't think so. I mean, it's really hard the way the Nationals are playing to be able to go and win all 4 games when you have to, and the Nats only have to win 1.
Good point. And what's funny is that in history, you've seen very, very few teams ever do 4 in a row.
Right. I mean, it's
not so hard once you're on a roll in the front end, but once you're down 3 games, it's ungodly hard to come back.
Yeah, and the Nats, more than anything, really would love to win it at home.
I don't blame them.
So the pressure is going to be on these next couple of games to win it. That's what they want more than anything, and that could help the Cardinals. The Nats could be pressing so hard to try to win the game that there's too much pressure on them, and the Cards will just play baseball and win.
Yeah, I don't see that happening.
I think the Nats will be in.
Yeah, because the Cardinals had their opportunity, and they had their chances to go out there and just loosen up and play, and they just don't seem to have that together this year.
No, they don't. They don't. And the way it looks right now, any of those teams who are in it, other than Houston, it's going to be a very cold World Series. The end of October, it's going to be snowing, it's going to be cold, and they're going to be out there in their jackets and gloves playing baseball, not the way baseball was meant to be played.
Yeah, and that's when guys get hurt, because your body is not really meant to go out there and take a beating in freezing cold weather.
Definitely. And like we've said on Inside Pitch quite a few times, baseball needs to do something about that. The spring training's too long. Back in the day when players came to spring training, it was to really get in shape for the season. Nowadays, with all the money that they're making, they're staying in shape all year long. The majority. I mean, they are ready to go. They work out all the time. They're in shape. We don't need that long of a spring training. Start the season sooner. You've added all these different playoffs and wild cards so Major League Baseball, can earn more money and the fans can pay more money. Let's just move that all up a little, shorten spring training, and get to the point where no matter where you're playing, the fans can sit comfortably and the teams don't have to play with the sweatpants on underneath their uniform and gloves and anything else.
Yeah, no matter what they say, even the teams based in New York and places like that, when it's cold, they're miserable, just like the team coming in from Houston or wherever.
Sure. I mean, is it easier for them to play? Not really. They might be used to it, whereas a team from L.A. or Houston isn't used to it, but they're just as uncomfortable.
Yeah. And you see guys get out there, that's when they pull a hamstring or whatnot, and they're just looking around like, I'm dead.
Well, yeah, because you're out there playing and you're you're focused on not getting hurt, and so you're going to do something that is going to cause you to get hurt. I'm going to favor this leg a little bit because it's sore, and then you hurt the other leg because of it, and it's all related to the cold weather.
Good point.
It's going to be a cold series, I think.
See, we just need to go ahead and call the commissioner now and tell him our thoughts because he listens.
You know what? After we have our guest tonight, by the way, is going to be Charlie Hough, the great knuckleball pitcher, and we're real excited to talk to him. And maybe when we're done with Charlie, we'll just have to call that commissioner. It depends on how much time we have left.
Well, but we just have to cut Charlie a little short then.
Oh, I don't know. Oh, you know, the commissioner's calling. He said not today.
Oh, dang it.
Darn.
We were counting on it. We had big plans. He really loves to hear from us.
Let's see. If he heard from us, Maury Wills would be in the Hall of Fame. Pete Rose would be in the Hall of Fame. Denny McClain would be in the Hall of Fame. Mark Grace. Dale Murphy. Need we go on?
Well, the funny thing about that is there's a lot of guys who are not in that are, this is just me talking, but I think are more deserving than some of the guys that are in there. Because some of them you look at and you're like, what did he do?
Oh, absolutely right.
Why don't we just
Absolutely right.
Why don't we randomly roll dice and see who goes in?
And especially in today's game, because forever it was a pitcher needed to have 300 wins or they weren't going to get into the Hall of Fame, and that was the target. Mm-hmm. Well, these today's one-inning pitchers that are getting into the Hall of Fame, they haven't pitched half as many innings as the majority of the people who aren't in. Mm-hmm. They come in, they pitch their one inning, 3 or 4 days a week for 8 years, and they're getting in the Hall of Fame. There's something wrong. Back to the specialty wing for the Hall of Fame that we've been saying. We need to get that commissioner on the phone.
Well, hang on a second. Let me see what I can do.
Oh, yeah. Wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't that be nice?
Well, hey, you and I care, so if we care, there's got to be at least 300 or 400 more people out there that care.
That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking.
And if we can get all our viewers from the show to actually, voice their opinion, who knows? Maybe we could actually get somebody, like the guy who sweeps the floor at the main office to pay attention at least. There's a happy thought.
We just got to do something to make that happen. We could run Major League Baseball from right here at Inside Pitch.
Exactly. It wouldn't be hard, would it?
We could probably do just as good as some of those guys do.
Yeah, and then we could actually influence getting rid of some folks that really need to be gone and getting some people back in or in that need to be in. And I don't mean the Hall of Fame. I'm talking about back in the sport.
Yeah.
And there's some great managers out there sitting on the sidelines.
There sure
watching.
are. There sure are.
And there's some horrible managers out there sitting in the dugout that really should be gone.
Well, yeah. And one, Dave Roberts of the Dodgers. I mean, they've made it to the championship and to the World Series the 2 previous years. This year, the Nationals beat them. And all 3 times in all 3 seasons, he has made terrible, terrible pitching moves, terrible lineup decisions, and he's getting rewarded for it. The Dodgers say he will be back next year. I don't understand.
Well, what's bizarre is that you watch the watch the Dodger boards and whatnot, and those people are coming unglued. Justifiably so.
Yeah, absolutely.
And sometimes you read where ownership or management says, well, you don't have a right to say anything. Well, they're the ones that buy the tickets. And
that's right.
Have the eyeballs on the TV screen, so they kind of do have a little input.
And poor Clayton Kershaw, for as much as he does for L.A., and for much as he does charity-wise, and him as a human being, he's a great come-through human being. Mm-hmm. He's not a great come-through pitcher. The minute that the Dodgers lost, there were things all over social media about what a choker he was and this and that, and it's,
See, that's the other unfortunate thing is we as fans sometimes, and I'm just as guilty of it as the next guy, we sit there and we talk about, oh, dang, my team has this issue. Well, because I'm ticked off at the world, I sit there and say, well, we just need to get rid of this guy. And it's a momentary aggravation, and where I don't put it on Twitter, but you see a lot of folks who put it on Twitter or whatnot. It's like, you're going to regret that.
Sure.
Just because you're pissed, let it chill for a while.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because there's so many things, that Did that happen? Did he fail to do what he wanted to do? Yeah, that happened again. But he's great for the city of LA. He's great as a baseball ambassador. He goes around the world trying to help people and do charity work and feed the needy. And I mean, he does a lot of great things. So, we got to take that into consideration too.
That means he should be wanting to get on our show, because most of the people who've been on our show have been decent human beings who go out and try to make the world a better place to live for others.
We've been very lucky. Everybody we've had on is like that. Just great humans, besides how great they were in baseball. Just great humans. Yeah.
Good point. So, actually, yes, I see your point. I kind of had to take a pause there because my brain went into neutral. There's a reason I was a strikeout leader of all time in this county.
And for those of you who didn't listen to that show, Brian led the league in strikeouts. That's right. The good news. The bad news was that he wasn't a pitcher.
But hey, I'm quite proud of that. I think my mom might still have the T-shirt.
There you go. Well, on that note, I think we should get Charlie Hough on the phone. Charlie's going to be our guest tonight. Just another great human being, great person. He's going to be fun to have on. He'll have a lot of good things to say, a lot of fun things to say. You guys are all going to love him. Let's get Charlie on the phone.
Sounds good. And make sure you ask him the question, how many catchers did he put out of the league?
We will do that. Ladies and gentlemen, with us on the phone is the Charlie Hough. Before we talk to Charlie, let me tell you a little bit about him. He played for 25 years in the big leagues. How awesome is that? He was with the Dodgers from 1970 to 1980, from the Texas Rangers from 1980 to 1990. He spent 91 and 92 with the Chicago White Sox, and 1993 to 1994 with the Florida Marlins. Charlie was an All-Star in 1986. He is in the Texas Rangers Hall of Fame. He learned the knuckleball in spring training in 1970, but he wasn't just a knuckleball player or pitcher. He had a fastball and a slider to go with it. When he was in Texas, he left as a franchise leader in wins, strikeouts, and complete games. In 1984, he led the league in complete games with 17. And we know that last year there were only 2 complete games that led the league. On April 5th of 1993, Charlie started the very first game in Florida Marlins history with his win, beating the Dodgers 6-3. And after his career, he's been a pitching coach for the Dodgers and some of their minor league affiliates, the New York Mets, the Fullerton Flyers, and the Inland Empire 66ers. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the nicest human beings you could ever meet on this planet, Mr. Charlie Hough. Charlie, how you doing?
How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I think really good.
Good.
Yeah.
I am glad to hear that. Thank
you.
You were just always one of my favorites. During when I was coaching that Atlanta Braves Scout League team and got to talk with you a lot during that strike season. You always made me laugh. Aaron always made me laugh. You're just a great family, great people, and I really appreciated that.
Well, thank you.
Yes, sir. Let's start talking about your career, and right off the bat, with who are the most challenging hitters that you faced?
Wow. Let's see. Where do you start?
In 25 years, there couldn't have been that many of them.
Right. I tell you, I had some real thrills pitching to some huge, big stars. Roberto Clemente. I faced Roberto Clemente two times through 2 pitches, held him to a single and a home run. And Hank Aaron kind of sneaks up on me too, because his famous home run off Al Downing, 7-15 off Al Downing.
Yeah.
He hit 7-16 off me the next night. So I could have been really famous.
Did he really? We had 7-13 on the show a couple weeks ago, Jerry Royce.
Beautiful.
Who gave us a question that I'm going to ask you next, but he was 7-13. We've had Al open. Al and I have been friends for over 40 years, so he opens every year with us as a guest on the show. And, of course, he was 7-15, and now you're 7-16.
Exactly. And I faced him that night. I faced him later that night when he hit it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's really cool. That's awesome. And for some of those guys to be the most challenging hitters you face, I'll bet you there's 300 pitchers that could say the same thing.
There's a few of us hanging around. Yeah. You betcha. You betcha.
716, that's cool. Well, that brings me to a question that Jerry Royce threw in there that now I ask. Do you hold any records or asterisks that people may not know? Well, and 716 is one of them.
Well, I don't know. Records. I think. Okay, I got one, and I think it's true. I don't know.
I think it's true.
I think it's true. I don't know. I don't look things up. Somebody told me it. That I'm the only guy in baseball to have started over 400 and relieved in over 400 games.
Wow. I would buy that.
I'm gonna go with it. What the heck?
Of course you are. Yeah, I am too, though. I'll bet you that's true. Because you relieved for a lot of years before you started. Yeah, I'm going to go with that. I do know one asterisk that you have.
What is that?
Your 4 strikeouts in 1 inning.
Probably did that somewhere along the line.
You did that. 4th of July in 1988.
Almost, I almost did it in the All-Star game. What year? 87?
86, you were in the All-Stars.
86.
I'll help you, Charlie.
I had 3 and 2 strikes and gave up a hit.
Oh, man. Those catchers were dropping the ball and letting it happen, huh?
Mostly because I was a little wild. Now, that's a stat I know for sure. I was a little wild.
Oh, I don't know. I'm sure you had complete command of that thing.
I wish I did.
I'm sure there's quite a few catchers that, they'd get the bigger mitt and a bigger mitt, and then they'd finally just say, here, I'll knock it down and pick it up and throw it back.
Yeah, that got to be pretty much it. Yeah.
How many catchers finally said, that's it, I quit, I can't play this anymore?
You know what? I was really fortunate. Coming up with the Dodgers, had some great catchers. Joe Ferguson and
sure.
Steve Yeager. I still think Steve Yeager's the best catcher I ever threw a ball to.
Wow.
Yeah. And when I went to Texas, I had Jimmy Sundberg, like a 7 or 8 time Gold Glove winner.
Right.
And one of my all-time favorites, Gino Petralli, who caught me a lot of games in Texas.
Wow.
Yeah.
I remember them. That's really cool. But, I'm back to Boomer. I really agree. Steve Yeager, I think, is one of the most underrated players to have ever played in the game.
He was a fantastic catcher, as tough as nails behind the plate.
Yeah.
Sure, you would sure like Steve blocking the plate today.
Boy, isn't that the truth?
Some of the rules, I don't know if that would work with Stevie.
Oh, no. Yeah. He that was his plate.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And when you're a pitcher, you really appreciate that.
Oh, that's for sure. That's for sure. Yeah, and I really think that Steve's way, way underrated for the talent that he had.
I always thought so.
I agree with you. So now let's talk about those are the most challenging hitters. Who were some of the best players that you ever saw play? Let's start off in the National League.
Wow, that I saw play. I mean,
they could be teammates too.
Teammates? You know what? I played with a lot of great players.
You did.
I think the most talented guy I ever played with would be Reggie Smith with the Dodgers.
Oh, I loved him. What a cannon. What a hitter.
There was nothing on the field that Reggie couldn't do and do really, really well. I mean, power, speed, hit from both sides.
Right.
And he could throw from both sides. That was the great thing that I loved about him.
He could throw left-handed too?
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Crazy.
That is crazy.
You're not supposed to have that much talent.
And, I mean, like you as a pitching coach, he was a great hitting coach.
Oh, yes, he was. And still is. I think he's still doing some work out here in Southern California.
I think he is.
Yeah.
I think he is. I'd love to get Reggie on. He would be great. Yeah, I really always admired him. You're right. He could do everything well. I didn't even know that he could throw left-handed, but he didn't need to.
Yeah. No, he didn't. That's for sure. That arm, wow.
I can remember him being by the foul pole in right and just throwing a cannon to Yeager,
Yeah.
no hop, all the way to the home plate. He was amazing.
Yeah, I have no idea what that would feel like throwing a ball that hard.
Oh, you have your own amazing stories.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I had good fingernails.
Yeah, but at least they were legal.
Yes.
You
Yes,
know?
my nails were legal.
Some of the famous knuckleball predecessors of yours, used a substance or two to get it that way.
Well, I wouldn't say that.
Well, I know you wouldn't. I know you wouldn't. But yeah, yours was. It was fun watching you.
Well,
What
it
about
was fun playing. I
know you had a great time. You could always tell. But okay, here's a personal question: have you ever done anything where you didn't have a good time? I'm going to say no.
I've had some bad days putting. Beyond that, no. You know what? I had a chance to play baseball. Wasn't very good. Learned a pitch that worked for me for a while, and I've been a 12-year-old little leaguer ever since. For almost 60 years now.
That's true. But what a great career! It helped your longevity. It helped you. And like I said, I think you have fun all the time, and that's what life's all about. That always impressed me with you, and yet you're still always personable. And we talk about the Hall of Fame a lot, and we'll get to that later. But you're a Hall of Fame human being, so in advance, I want to thank you for that.
Thank you.
Because you really are. All right, your best players in the American League.
Wow. Where do you begin? American League. I went there in 1980, so I caught a few guys towards the end of their careers. Carl Yastrzemski.
Oh.
I mean, that's the one that, because I didn't do very well with Carl Yastrzemski, and I loved the guy, but he hit me a little too good. That name just stands out for me.
I'm sure it does.
Yeah.
I'm sure you saw the thing where he threw out the first pitch and his grandson hit the home run on the same day.
How about that?
Wasn't that something?
Oh my gosh.
That was really exciting. I was very happy for both of them.
Well, I don't like the guy, but he could play.
That was just exciting.
Yeah, you can't like a guy that hits you that good.
No, that's true.
I think it's a rule. I think there's some sort of rule.
I think it's in the Bible. I think I read that. Oh my gosh, that's funny. What about your most memorable moment in all those 25 years?
Wow. Oh, my gosh. The one that may have been the most fun, memorable. I got to play in 3 World Series that we lost, all for the Dodgers.
Yeah.
But as much memorable, which is interesting for me anyway, I grew up in Hialeah, Florida, went to Hialeah High School, and at age 45, I got to pitch the first game for the expansion Florida Marlins.
Yeah, April 5th, 1993.
So that's 10 miles from where I went to high school.
Oh, wow.
So if I thought of a game or a stretch or anything most memorable, individual games are always fun, a World Series, an All-Star game, but to pitch that first game in my basic hometown at that age, at 45, and it was against the Dodgers.
Yeah, and you got the win, 6-3.
Yeah, so the manager of the Dodgers was Tommy Lasorda. He was my first manager in the minor leagues with the Dodgers.
Right.
So that would really stand out. I'll never forget that opportunity that the Marlins gave me there to open up a game at home, and first game in South Florida. Pretty special to me.
Well, that had to be really exciting, and especially like you said, your home city, basically. That's really exciting, and I'm sure Lasorda was very happy for you beating them.
Yeah, I'm sure he was. Well, yeah, we're still pretty good friends. I mean, without him, without meeting him, and without playing for him in the rookie league and and playing for him in AAA and then later in the big leagues, I don't know that my career would have been the same as it was. Certainly, he gave me the chance to throw a knuckleball in AAA, and it just opened up a whole new world for me.
It sure did. It sure did. And I think he's given a lot of people like that some great opportunities. Just a great motivator, great ambassador for the game.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. Still active with the Dodgers, speaking, visiting people. I mean, he's tremendous.
Just one of a kind, one of the last of his breed, unfortunately. But yeah, very much so. And you can pick a team. Who were some of your favorite teammates, whichever team that may be?
Oh my gosh! Oh Lord!
And here, I'll ask you a better one. Do you hang with any of them now?
Almost too many to think about. I mean, great guys that I played with. A Bert Hooton in L.A.
Yeah.
Billy Russell, Davey Lopes, guys that I played with in the minor. That whole Dodger crew that I played with.
Right.
In the minor leagues.
Lopes, came up
Garvey,
for Tommy. Yeah.
Russell, Say, Ferguson, Yeager, all of us pretty much came up together.
Right.
So that crew was really special to be around. And then another whole crew in Texas for me. Gino Petralli just stands out because he caught me so many games and was such a great kid. A funny story for him, Gino had been let go by Toronto Blue Jays at the time, and we had like 3 catchers get hurt. Somehow we signed him, I don't know, some kind of minor league deal. They brought him up, and he caught me a couple of games, and we won him. And he stayed about 7 or 8 years.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was a fortunate deal for him, and he just caught me really well.
That's good. That's good. Any of those people do you still stay in touch with or see regularly or anything like that?
No, I don't see too many regular. I mean, I'm still sort of busy working with the Dodgers, and I get around to run into. In baseball, you kind of run into people.
Yeah, very true. I understand.
And most of my work is in the minor leagues, which I just love. Working with the younger players. So I don't run into too many of the guys that I played with, and a lot of them are so much younger than me. That's the goofy thing.
I guess. I mean, obviously not the, like you were saying, Garvey Lopes, Russell Say, Yeager, those guys aren't, but, for your Florida Marlin days, even the Chicago White Sox days, they're probably a year or two younger.
Yes. Some of the guys that I played with, Trevor Hoffman.
Yeah.
He's a Hall of Fame relief pitcher, one as good as they get. And he was one of the original drafts claimed on the Marlins. And I had known him for years before that. I used to throw batting practice to him when he was in high school, and he was a shortstop.
Wow.
And then, 20 years later, we're playing together with the Florida Marlins. Of course, he was traded, too.
Yeah. Yeah, he sure was. Let's talk about that for a minute because, back in the day, it was old school baseball. What's your feeling of the one-inning pitchers in today's game?
Well, there's always been that guy, that is just a wipeout inning type, I guess you'd say. What it amounts to is we manage the game a little bit different. I think the players today are as good as ever or better than ever. The strike zone's a little bit tougher to work. It's a little bit harder to pitch, I believe. And so going through a lineup a third and even fourth times like we used to, it's a little bit harder than it was. So I say you need to manage the game the way they do. You need more relief pitchers. I would like to see us get back to at least some of the starting pitchers getting into the 8th and 9th inning. Now they're going 4 innings sometimes. So,
and they think that's a good thing.
It's good if you win.
Well, I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
I mean, it is becoming a little bit more of a specialized game. And is it better? I have no idea. I just know that the players today are really good.
I think they are really good. I do think that. I just think there has to be, some kind of comparison where, and let's use Trevor Hoffman. He's probably, his total innings in his career probably isn't 25% of what Jim Cott's is, yet Trevor's in the Hall of Fame and Jim Cott isn't. I mean, there's just, I know you can't do it just based on wins and innings, but there's got to be some kind of distinction, I think.
Well, it as the game evolves, it has changed, and it always has. We're just kind of stuck in thinking about one era, or a fairly long era, but the game has changed enough to where priorities are put on getting out 3 hitters, because we got another guy that gets out the other 3.
Right.
We got a left-hander that can strike out any left-hander around. So it has become more specialized. Like football has become more special. All the sports are getting better. The guys are in great shape, and now we're trying to find ways to win a ball game by using your entire 25-man roster every night.
And it feels that way sometimes.
They do it. Management puts together a package to say, this is what we need to do to win tonight, and they go with it.
Yeah, and they do. I mean, it's sometimes it's frustrating, sometimes it's interesting, but yeah, I mean, I'm with you in that I think a starter's goal should be the 9 innings, and if you have to come out in the 7th or the 8th, at least you tried. But I just don't like when it's less than that. 4 or 5. How 5 innings is a quality start. Just astounds
I
me.
agree with you there. I think, and we've been trying. We've been trying to train our guys to pitch 9 innings.
Good for you.
In the minor leagues. Now, they're probably not going to pitch 9 innings, but we're trying to get the pitch count up a little bit, not panicking about making somebody or letting somebody work a little bit. Because if you train a kid to pitch 5 innings in the minor leagues, we're finding out that he doesn't get 5 innings in the big leagues, because he's going to throw a lot more pitches to get that 15 outs.
Well, yeah, I'm sure that's true.
So it's just like running a marathon. If you don't train to run the whole marathon, it's pretty tough to finish it.
Right.
And that's where we are. I think the kid, like I say, I think the kids are great, and I think they're capable, physically capable. If Nolan Ryan and Tom Seaver and guys like that can pitch 9 innings, well, the kids today can too, because they're just as strong and they're throwing just as hard. So, and Nolan threw just as hard as anybody today. So,
boy, that's for sure.
If he could train enough to do that, then others can. Yeah, and that's the thing I like. I mean, you're the best pitchers in the game getting to pitch a little more.
I couldn't agree more. Before we go on about your career, you've talked a little bit about it, so I want to get into it so people know today about what you are doing today. I know you're working for the Dodgers. You're real involved in their instructional league. Why don't you talk a little bit about what you're doing there and how things are going?
Well, I just got home a few days ago from Arizona, our spring training site, and was with our minor league team for real youngsters for about 30 days. What it is you're giving youngsters, I mean, we had, I think, 15 or so teenagers still pitching, working, getting them some innings, some instruction. My job is, I'm kind of a watch it guy. And when our guys take vacations too, when our pitching coaches in the minor leagues, they get a few days off during the year, visit families and stuff. So I will fill in for them. So I'm not full-time, not everyday coaching, but I do spend a lot of time with the lower levels.
That's good. And if you're teaching them things like, trying to pitch 8 and 9 innings, I think that's a great thing to learn.
Well, we're trying to get the guys there. We'll see if it works. We've got a lot of good young prospects. That's one thing the Dodgers have done very well is in the draft and in our international signings. We've signed a lot of good young pitchers.
Good.
And only a percentage are going to make it. We know that going in. But we had a couple three up with the big club this year. So we're in pretty good shape with that.
That's a good thing because, as you know, you can't have enough good pitching.
Oh no! You will win during the season sometimes if you're hitting the ball real good or you play pretty good defense. But you get into the playoff games and you have to pitch it very well.
Yeah, that's true. In your time as a pitching coach at the major league level, did you have any favorite pitchers that were your favorites to work with?
Wow, that's some pretty good ones. That's for sure. I had Al Leiter
Okay.
in New York. And that was really interesting. What a talent. What a strong guy, too, boy. And it's good to see him on TV now, too.
Yeah, yeah. And he does a good job.
Oh, yeah, very good. You don't realize how big and strong some of these guys are or were. And, I had Kevin Brown here in Los Angeles for a while, brief time.
Right.
Right before I got fired again. There's so many. I had Armando Benitez, a guy that really in the press in New York took kind of a beating, but he was really good. And the reason the media got on him pretty good is we were the Mets, and right across town is maybe the greatest relief pitcher in the history of the game. So he was always getting compared to Mariano Rivera. And that's a pretty tough comparison.
You're going to have to say most people won't be able to beat that comparison.
Yeah. I mean, that's the way the sports go, especially in the big cities like that.
Right.
That's for sure.
Right. That's good. Okay, let's go back to in your career. I know you saw a lot of funny things on the field. What's one of the funniest things you can remember happening on the field?
Oh my gosh, I don't know.
You probably did it.
Yeah, I might have been involved. I don't know.
You and Johnstone.
Oh, Jay Johnstone, did you think? Oh my gosh.
You two together.
I try to stay away from that one. Oh my Lord. Just the game always struck me as some humor in it, because just every play could have something, and then when you stop and think about it, oh my gosh, that was awful. You know what I mean? It's just, I lost a game. If you can imagine, I had a no-hitter through eight, going out to pitch the ninth here in Anaheim, not far from where I live.
Right.
Had the Angels beat 1-0. And go out to pitch to ninth, struck out the first batter, and the second batter reached second on a pop-up that we dropped.
Oh.
And then we played the infield in. I gave up a ground ball single through the drawn-in infield to tie the game. Long story short, I ended up with first and second, 2 out, 2 strikeouts. 3-2 on a hitter. First and second, runners are going. Tie game, bottom ninth. I threw the pitch, threw a knuckleball, swing and a miss, strike 3. Got by the catcher. I thought he was going to throw it to first, and he thought I was going to cover home, and I didn't cover home. And the winning run scored from second on the strikeout. So for me,
no.
A day late, it wasn't very funny then. But a day later,
it wasn't.
Yeah, I just remember thinking, how dumb was I? Our catcher looked bad. I can't even think of the catcher's name right now, but our catcher looked bad, and I'm thinking the whole time, my gosh, I that's as dumb as you can get, right there. What I did, I didn't cover home. But I mean, how funny is it that you could lose a game like that?
Yeah, and to go from a no-hitter to a loss.
Yeah, everything.
In
no
3 outs later.
and the previous game I had, I went 13 innings. Never mind 9. I went 13.
There you go. Arr, arr. Uh-oh. We lost you.
Can you hear us? Charlie, can you hear us?
We lost you, Charlie.
Not the 12th, the 14th. Why the 13th inning? And he said to me, I need you to, you've thrown 170 pitches. And he said, I need you to come back a day early to face the Angels. And that's the game I lost to the Angels.
Oh, my
1
gosh.
or 2-1.
Oh, my gosh. Wow. Wow. I'm sure you iced your arm a little bit that night. Oh,
Yeah.
I'll bet you did.
Oh. Yeah, so those games always struck me as a little funny or odd, but the game is so beautiful. You know, it's just so much fun to get to perform in front of thousands of people. And, you know, like I say, I'm shocked I got to play that long because I had a sore arm at 20 years old and found a way to compete for a long time.
And I think that's why. You know, I mean, you had the heart, you had the desire, you definitely had the talent. But like I said, I mean, you had the personality too. You made it all work. I don't know anybody who can mention your name and not say, "Oh, I didn't like that guy." You were everybody's guy.
Well, thank you. But I mean, to me, it was just getting a chance to compete was so exciting to me. I just loved it, actually.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, that's just something. You know, and we talked a little bit in your intro that you led the league in 1984 with 17 complete games. 17. And in 2018 last season, the the league had 2 complete games was the high.
It has changed. The game has changed. I don't know if it's completely for the better, but like I say, the kids today are quite capable of pitching 9 innings. We just don't let them because we're training guys to be even better than them the last couple innings.
That's good to know because I can when I first saw that there was only 2 complete games that led the league last year, I remember in Sandy Koufax in 1962, in April of 1962, pitched his second complete game of the season already in April.
Oh, for sure.
You know, it's like, oh, I mean, my gosh.
Like I say, that whole system, the entire system of managing pitchers has changed.
Yeah, very, very true. Very true. Now let's talk about, of all those guys that you have mentioned, and we talked a little bit about Jim Kaat. Who do you think should be in the Hall of Fame that isn't there yet?
Ah, wow. Well, Jim Kaat would be one.
Yeah.
You know, I was surprised it took so long for Bert Blyleven to get in.
And in my opinion, it was only because he didn't have that magic 300, which now means nothing.
But there may not be another guy reach through. I don't know if anybody playing right now is getting close, but I would doubt if anybody from here on in is going to get 300 wins.
I agree, unfortunately.
They're just not going to pitch enough.
Right.
There's a guy pitching today, Garrett Cole, that is plenty good enough. You know, there's a bunch of guys that are good enough to have won that many games.
Yeah, and he's strong enough too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They're just not going to let him.
Yeah.
The other thing on that side of it is the salaries and the bonus monies that we pay, and we got a ton of money invested in a guy, and we're trying to figure out what happens if he gets hurt.
Right.
So
right.
They're thinking health. They're thinking get more years out of the guy than more innings this year. And I believe some of that is correct. How much? I don't know. We may be overdoing the relievers, but seems like it's easier to find a reliever.
Well, sure, because they don't throw as many innings. But when you think about those guys throwing the one inning and that's it, they're not throwing that many pitches. Hopefully,
No.
Hopefully.
Well, you can keep them around for more years. I mean, relief pitchers used to have fairly short careers. Actually, most of them were guys that weren't good enough to start way back.
Yeah, that's how they got in the bullpen in the first place. And actually,
yes,
one of those
they
guys
got put in the bullpen
was Mariano Rivera.
Sure.
He couldn't start, and they moved him to the bullpen, and he kind of had a little bit of success there.
Not bad. Things worked out okay for him.
Just a little bit. But yeah, so who do you think belongs in the Hall that isn't there?
Oh, gosh, I'd have to see a list. Thinking a guy, Mike Mussina just made it, right, this time around?
Yes.
I mean, that's another one. I was thinking of somebody, a relief pitcher for the Cubs. Lee Smith. Did Lee Smith make it?
He got in this year.
There you go. I mean, there's some of the guys that have been pretty close that I, just going, how are they not in?
And I can tell you who we say every year on Inside Pitch when it's the time of year for voting. One of the big ones is Maury Wills. I don't understand how he's not in.
Wow. I think 2-time MVP.
Yeah.
Gil Hodges.
Yeah.
Gil Hodges is another one.
We're just thinking Gil Hodges.
Yeah. We talk about him. We talk about Jim Cott.
Yeah, Jim Cott. Wow.
And then guys like Dale Murphy, Mark Grace.
Yeah.
Mark Grace is a living trivia question. He had more hits than any player in the 1980s.
Did he really?
He did.
Wow.
And,
wow.
And he, how is he not in? And again, and the controversial fella, I think Pete belongs in.
Well, obviously, but Pete Rose's playing time for sure.
See, and that's what I don't understand.
Yeah, I just don't. I don't think it's going to happen for a while, at least.
I don't either. But when he's not in because of what he did as a manager, we're not putting him in the Lasorda wing with the managers.
Yeah.
Put him in as a player, and I think he belongs.
Well, certainly belongs as a player.
Right.
But the rules, I mean, that's a tough one to even think about. There's no doubt he was a great player.
Oh gosh, yes.
In fact, we ought to have everybody see a video highlights of him playing as hard as he played. That was a tough guy to beat.
Yeah, and just look what a team guy. First base. I mean, all-star, first base, third base, second base, left field, right field. I mean, he did whatever they needed him to do.
And he got a couple of hits, too, I heard.
Almost a few thousand.
Wow.
But yeah, I really think Maury and Gil really belong. Jim Cott.
There's a number, and I don't mind it being tough.
I don't either.
It is probably the toughest Hall of Fame to get into is the Major League Baseball one. And there's been, arguments about who should and shouldn't. And I really love it. I just think it's great that there are arguments, that it's that hard to get into.
I do too. I think there needs to be some kind of rule because, especially what used to be the Veterans Committee, when their time would come up to vote and they wouldn't put anybody in, and it would drive me crazy every year thinking, how can you not put these guys in?
Yeah.
It's just...
Yeah, they just... I think they respect the game so much that they want to make it really tough to get into the Hall, and when you get there, you're in that, better than good. You're just incredible.
Well, yeah, just a little better than good.
Yeah.
Well, Charlie, I want to thank you very much for giving up your time today and spending it with us. And as always,
fun, for sure.
You're a lot of fun, a great guy. And speaking of Hall of Fame, like we said, you're just a Hall of Fame person, and I want to thank you very much. And thank you for letting Aaron play on my Scout League team. He was a chip off the old block. He was a great kid.
That he is.
He really is. He's a lot of fun.
He was.
So thank you very much for taking your time to be on. Great talking to you again. I miss seeing you, and you hang in there, and good luck in spring training again and coming up with all the things you're doing.
All righty. Thank you.
Thank you, Charlie. Appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, the great, really super guy. All right, let's go to information. Brian, what do you think about Charlie?
I think he's a great guy. You know, he's like a lot of the folks that come on, and he actually is willing to give his opinion, which is a beautiful thing. He doesn't, kind of sugarcoat it. He comes out there and says, "Yeah, this is what I think," and he stands behind it. I like that.
I do too. I like that too. Just imagine, just talent-wise alone, 25 years in the big leagues. Like he was saying about his time in Florida, he was 45 years old making that start, their first start of the year.
Yeah, and that's funny for a guy who says when he was 20 years old he had a tired arm.
Had a sore arm already.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that 20-year-old with the sore arm did pretty darn good for himself.
Yep, and he's another one of those guys that he learned that special pitch that everybody thinks, oh, well, that's all you got to do, go learn how to throw that one.
Yeah.
That's a tough pitch.
And I really like one thing about the knuckleball with the other guys besides Charlie that has thrown it during and after his career. Mm-hmm. Respect him enough for how talented he was, where they'll still wear number 49 just like Charlie did, out of respect to the master. I think I really like when I see that.
Yeah, no kidding.
That's really a respect thing for him. I know it is. I know he knows it is. Just really a great thing. Just good to talk to him again. It'd been a while, and just really, as you could tell, just a great guy, fun guy. Like I said, his son Aaron is just as fun. Two great people, and Aaron was a great pitcher. He was a great pitcher on the Scout League team.
See, that's what begs the question. So, how did you get to be his manager in the
right place at the right time?
See, you've been lucky.
Right, I have been lucky. I know a lot of great people. I've been very lucky. Very lucky.
Yeah, there's somebody else in the room probably agrees with that also,
That I've been lucky?
Or that sometimes you've been good, but it's always really great to be lucky and good.
I'll go with that. Let's talk a little bit about the trivia question last week. We asked who is the last team to come back from an 0-2 deficit in a division series and win it. And it wasn't that long ago. The answer was the 2017 Yankees, who beat Cleveland 3 games in a row in the division series to make it into the American League Championship. And the Yankees are right back in it again. One of the most consistently winning teams in baseball history.
And that's even without the great George Steinbrenner around buying up everything he could.
But I'll tell you what, George learned how to be a great owner after he went through his little times where he wanted to manage and, his 15,000 firings of Billy Martin and stuff and Don Lemon. I mean, just when he went, or Bob Lemon, when he went through those things, he learned. He learned how to be an owner, and then he was just one of the best. I mean, it was what do we need to win, and when it was money, you got it.
See, the thing is, though, and especially when he had Billy Martin and fired him and had him and fired him and had him, but he was a very key cog to baseball and what drew people to watch.
Oh gosh, yeah.
And I don't mean just the Yankees fans. I mean fans everywhere. It was like a magnet because there was something going to happen. It may be in the dugout. It may be right after the game. Something's going to happen.
It was fun. Great games. So this week's trivia question: who is the first major league player to have his number retired? Quite a few teams have quite a few players. Some will have one or two whose numbers have been retired, which means no other player can ever wear that number for that team again. But who was the very first major league player ever to have his number retired? When you know that answer, without Googling, please write to us at myinsidepitch@gmail.com. Again, all one word, myinsidepitch@gmail.com. And tell us your answer without cheating. And as Brian was referring to, we do have a special guest in our studio today. I'd like her to stick her little face in here and say hello. My daughter Chelsea is here from LA, and that's literally what she did. Stuck her little face in to say hello. It's been wonderful to have her here, and she knows baseball more than any of you listening, I'll guarantee you. She's a great fan, great sport, loves the game. It's been fun having her here. On that note, we want to thank you all for listening tonight, for being here with me and Brian and Chelsea. We appreciate you guys. Again, a big thank you to Charlie Hough, the great knuckleball pitcher and great human being. And have a good evening. We will talk to you later. See you next week.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Chelsea. See everybody next week except
Thank
Chelsea.
you, Brian.
That ball gets away from Petrali now. Got him. Got him. That's the third strikeout. They want to try to keep you inside the ballpark. That's called strike three. So a very unusual inning for Charlie Hough.